Have you ever wondered how Python stores multiple values together, like list of numbers, marks, or even characters in a word? That's where sequence data types comes in. Starting from today's video, we will start a mini series or a sub series where we will explore each one of them step by step. Hello, learners, welcome to your learning hub, the Learning Loop. I am Swati Sharma, and this is the 10th video of my beginner friendly Python course series. If you're joining me for the first time, thank you for dropping by. And if you haven't checked out my previous videos yet, I will highly recommend you to go back and check those out so that you are all caught up. From today's video, we will start exploring sequence data types. And we will begin with one of the data types that we have already briefly covered in our previous video, strings. We will understand what makes the data type a sequence, and then we will see how strings behave as one of the sequence data types. So, without a further ado, let's dive in. Before we dive into strings, let's first understand what exactly sequence data type is. A sequence data type is simply a way of storing multiple values inside a single variable. But what makes it special is that values are stored in an ordered way. That means every value inside the sequence has a specific position number, also called an index number. We can use that index number to access, to modify, or even work with the values inside the sequence. In Python, we have four main sequence data types: strings, list, tuples, and range. We will explore each one in detail over the next few videos, starting today with strings. Now, we have already seen in the previous video how we can create or declare strings in Python using single quotes, double quotes, or triple quotes. If you haven't checked that video out yet, or you would like to revisit the video again, I would highly recommend you to go back, check that out, as I have already explained that in detail there. Today we will focus on how strings behave as sequences, which means we will look at how Python stores characters in orders, how we can access them using index numbers, and how we can extract or slice parts of them. Let's start with indexing. In Python, indexing means giving number to every character in a string based on its position. For example, text is equal to Python. Here, P is at position 0, Y is at position 1, T is at position 2, and so on. And yes, in Python, indexing starts from 0 and not from 1. So if I write text, square brackets, and let's say 0, that's the position number first, and I hit enter, or I will run it, and it will give me the first character P. Same ways, if I write text and let's say 3, then it would give me the character H, as H is at position 3. Now, if you want to access the elements from the end of the string, Python makes that easy too, using negative indexing. As you can see on the screen, N is at -1 position, O is at -2, H is at -3 position, and so on. So now, if you want to access the string from the end, you can write text, square brackets, and -1. And if I run it, you can see the very last number of this string has been, or very last character of this string has been printed. That's n. Let's write text and let's say -4, and I run it again and it gives T because at the number 4th position, it's T. Sometimes we just don't want a single character, we want some part of the string. And that's where slicing comes in, which is one of the most important topics of Python. Let's quickly go over the syntax of slicing. For slicing, let's take an example that there is a variable text where we have written a string Python, and we only want to output some part of it, which is, let's say, YTH, and ignore the rest of it. So we will extract YTH from Python and print or output that in our console. So how we can do it? So in our case, as we have stored string in the variable text, so we will write text, then the square brackets, and then the first section, that's start. The start would tell us the start index, which means I will tell from which index I need to start including the characters of my string. So in our case, as we want to output YTH, P is at 0 and Y is at 1. So obviously the start would be the index number 1, because the output that I'm interested in is YTH. So I should be writing the index number 1 from where I want to start including the characters. So the first section is start, so I'll write the start here, start index here, that's 1. Then I put the semicolon and then write the next section, that's the stop index. Now this would tell from which index I need to stop including the characters. From this very index, the characters will not be included. So whatever index number I give here, the character on that index number will not be included. So in our case, as I want to output Y, T, H, and P is at 0, Y is at 1, T is at 2, H is at 3, and O is at 4, N is at 5. So I do not want to include O, so I will write here 4, because from that index I do not want to include anything. Or you can understand it like that. For example, you want to include YTH, which means you want to include H as well. H is at index 3, and the stop index here should be 3 plus 1, that's 4. So whatever characters you want to include, and the last character that you want to include, the stop index should be plus 1. So in our case, the last character that I wanted to include was H, which is as index 3, so I would write the stop index as 4. And then again semicolon. The next section is step. Now step tells us after how many steps I need to include the next character. By default, the value is 1, which means after every step you need to include the character, which means after Y, take 1 step, T, take 1 step, H. So this is by default 1. So you can write the 1 here, close the square brackets, hit the run button, and you would see this option YTH. We'll explore more of slicing with an example, but to give you a syntax, it should be string or the variable under which you have stored the string, square brackets, start, semicolon, stop, semicolon, step. Alright, let's understand slicing with an example, as it would make more sense then. So let's say I take as variable, let's say slicing underscore example is equal to, let's say I write Python space programming, and I'll run it. You can see the variable has been declared. And let's say I just want to slice some part of it. I don't want to print programming. I just want to print Python. So what I would do is I'll write the variable, start the square brackets, and because I'm starting this from the very start of my string, that is P. So that's a zeroth character or zero index, or is so I can write 0 colon, or I can skip writing anything. You just to put semicolon, that would mean that it is starting from 0 on. And if I write it like this, just the semicolon, it would mean that include everything from beginning to end. And if I run it, you can see that everything is there. Now let's say I want to end it until I just want to extract Python and skip programming. And if you count the characters from P to N, you can see N is at the 5th index position. So I want to include N into it. And as I have already explained that if whatever the end value you would give, it would not be included in the output. N-1, which is whatever the end or the stop value has given, the value just before that would be included. If I have written 6 here, which is the space here, the space will be skipped, and the characters from 0 to 5 would be printed out or would be seen in output. So that Python is completely written in the output or printed in the output, I would write 6 because N is at my 5th index. Now by default the step value is 1, so which means it is going to print each and everything. So either you can write 6 1 and nothing at the starting, which means the default value is taken. So if I write like this, it is, you can see, has given the Python as an output here. Or if I just write it as :6, would also mean the same thing, and it would give the same output as you can see here. If I do not include this default value and just write where I need to end, it will still give me the output. Let's see if I want to skip some steps and I want to, let's say, start from 1 and not 0, that's the default value, and say I want to end it, I want to take all the characters as a stop value, skip that value. Do not write that. You just put the another column. That would mean the end value is until the whole string ends. And let's say I write skip as 3 and I run it, and you can see it has skipped the 2 values. Obviously it is starting from Y, so it has included that. As I wrote 3, I'm sorry, I just skipped. As I wrote 3, the T and H has been skipped, and the O value has been, or every third step. So whatever is coming on the third step, it is going to take that, which means 1, 2, and third would be O. Then N1 space is 2, P is third, P. R, O, 1, 2, and G is third, right? And it went until the end and printed out the whole value after slicing. Let's explore some commonly used text functions that we can use. These are built-in functions that we can use to work with text or makes working with text little easier. So the very first method that we are going to explore is upper, which means whatever you have in the text would be written in the uppercase. So I'm just gonna make sure I have declared a variable text. So I'm gonna write print text, and and in order to apply these methods, you have to write variable dot the method or the function name. I'm going to write in this case upper, and then I'm going to return the value. You can see all the characters in this have been printed in uppercase. But let's see if it has actually changed it in the memory. And we can see in the Explorer, variable Explorer, it is still in the lowercase. So just to let you know, when I'm printing, I'm applying this, it is not actually changing the string, the characters in the string. It is just creating a new value to me, print value. But it is not changing anything in the memory, as you can see here. In the memory, the text is again in the same way as we have already declared it. That is because strings are immutable. Once they have been created, they cannot be changed. If you want to change anything, you have to do something like text is equal to text dot upper, which means I am declaring this variable again and giving it a new value. So once I do that, now you can see it has been changed in the memory, which means what I just did is I created a new variable. I just named it the same, so it just replaced the value there, or created a new variable with text, or created a new string in it with that particular updated text. So it has created and returned an updated value, but it's not like it has changed it or modified in the memory itself. What it did, it deleted the previous value and then created a new one once I have given this as text dot upper. So let's say I write text underscore lower is equal to, and I now do text dot lower. Now because everything is in upper, and text, as you can see in the text variable, text is given as Python in uppercase, and I'm going to go do this, and you can see the text lower now in the variable Explorer has everything in the lower case. And let's say I do text dot title, which will make the first character of each word as a uppercase. So we will explore two examples for it, and you can see once I did that, it has given me an output of with Python with P in capital, but in the memory it is still the same value for the text. So please remember, strings are immutable. They would not be changed in the memory. In order to change it or replace it, you have to make sure you are creating a new variable for it, or you are creating and overlapping that variable so it creates a new variable, or that variable points to the new value. When I did this, what I did, so variables do not store the value directly, they actually point to that value. Right, so when I did text and text dot upper, I just told that variable to start pointing to a new value now. So that's how it is changing in the memory here, because I directed that variable to that particular value. So okay, now let's say the slicing example. Let's take the title example with that. Like say I write Python programming like this, I do this and I write slicing underscore example dot title. You can see that Python programming both has, each word is in a lowercase, and you can see once I have done the title, the first word or first character of the word has been changed to the uppercase. One more example we will take is to replace. If you want to replace anything, let's say I want to replace Python with Java, so I write replace, and you can it gives you the whole syntax, whatever the old value that you want to change with what you want to change, the count, like how many let's say is appears 4 or 5 times and you want to change the first 2 times, then you can give the count as well here. So I will write the old value, which is Python with a new value, let's say Java. And you can see it has been changed to Java programming here. Let's say sentence is equal to example 1, example 2, example 3. All right, and I'm just going to do replace, and I, let's say, only want to change the first instance. So I'm going to write sentence, and I'm going to keep the S capital because Python is case sensitive. Please do remember that. So the old value that I want to change is example, and let's say I want to change to instance. And I just want to change the very first letter, that example 1. I just want to change it to instance 1 and keep everything else as it is. So I'm writing 1. I'm sorry. Sentence dot replace. My bad. I have not even declared it. My bad. So I'm going to declare it. Now you can see here that it has the very first value in it has been changed to instance. Other two are still the same. If you want to change all, you don't give the count. You just simply remove it, and it will change every example to instance, as you can see. But if you do not want to change all the occurrences, only few of them, it is going from beginning to start. Beginning to end. So if you write 3, the first 3 would be changed. If you write 4, if the first 4 would be changed. So accordingly, whatever you want to change, you can do that. Let's explore one more method on count. That is, if you want to count any characters in a sentence. Let's say slicing example, and I say dot count and the character that I want to count. And you can also give the start and end, like if you want to tell like start from this index and count till this index, you can also do that. Let's say I want to count it in the whole string, so I'm writing this and it is giving me the value 2, that it has occurred 2 times. And let's say I want to count between from, say, index 2. So I'm going to write slicing example dot count, and then I'm going to write the character that I want to count, and then let's say I want to give the start value only, that's 2. And you can see it says 1 because obviously I've started from T, and then from further there only one instance of P is there. Let's say I want to give the end value, so I'm going to write slicing. If you click, okay, let's say I write slicing example dot count. Then again I give the character P, and let's say I say start from 2nd and maybe end maybe at 7th position, and that should give 0 because there should be no, I think there should be a P. Let's say I say end it at 6, then we would have a 0 P instances in it, and you can see that. Before we move on to the next section, there's one fun trick is you can also reverse your string using the slicing option. So all you need to do is, let's say reverse string, and I say is equal to, all I have to do is write slicing example and then give square brackets. I want to have the start and end. I want to include the whole characters or all the whole string. So start and end, I'm keeping it default. They're starting at 0, ending at whatever the stop value is for that particular string. And I'm writing -1. And if you do that, it is going to reverse the string. And now let's just print our reversed string. Okay. I'm going to hit enter and you can see the string has been reversed. Now let's quickly recap what we have learned today. By the end of this video, now you're aware what do you mean by sequence data types. You're also aware how the characters in string are given the index numbers, how we can access them, and how we can extract or slice parts of them. We also went through some of the string functions so that working with text or string can become more easy. Before we wrap up, I would also like to go over what I would be covering in my next upcoming videos. In the very next video, we will go over our second sequence data type, that's list. Once we have went over what do we mean by list, we will go over tuples. And once we have learned about that, we will go over our last sequence data type, that's range. That's it for today, guys. If you like my content, please like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you guys in next video. Until then, happy coding!